found is I've been a spectator to other people's tragedies, and I found that all of this has happened to prepare me to understand the biggest tragedy of my life, which was actually the civil war that happened at the beginning of my life. And what I want to say today is that really it's not the duty of people who are not involved to deny the pain of people who are involved. In Nigeria, there's this big embargo about Biafra. You must never talk about Biafra. We have to move on. You have to forget. You have to just move on. Forget about it. But it's not the duty of people who are not there to forget. If the people who suffered want to forgive and forget, it's their prerogative, and they can do that at their will. I look back and I then say to myself, why don't I look at maybe other commentators, other people who reacted to the same thing? Because I was probably too young to react to it. And what were the reactions that people had to the Biafran War? I looked at Wole Soyinka, I listened to his excellent series for the BBC, Returning to Biafra. And of course, I thought about what happened to him. He was in London minding his business when the Biafran War was about to break. He volunteered to go in there, flew into Nigeria, went to Biafra at great risk to himself. Of course, he was arrested and jailed and almost shot many times in Biafra for his troubles. And by the time he was released with a message for the Nigerian side, he came to Nigeria. And what did they do? They arrested him and put him in jail for another 2 years and 4 months. And so when somebody like that talks about the Biafra War, I want to sit up and listen. If somebody is sitting in comfort and maybe reading about it in papers, his views might not mean as much to me as to what Wole Soyinka has to say about the war. Well, Steve Jobs, has anybody read his autobiography? Yeah, he stopped going to church because he read about the Biafra War. He said, if Christians can do that to people, why should I worship that God? I don't agree with him, but that's his view. He felt so bad about the war. Bernard Kouchner, former French foreign minister, remember him in Kosovo, digging every last bone to understand what happened in Kosovo. But where did he start? He started in Biafra. He was there as a Red Cross volunteer. He resigned from the Red Cross. He said, we can't be impartial in such a situation. He founded Médecins Sans Frontières, MSF, because of the Biafra situation. And that's what Biafra did to him. John Lennon returned his MBE to the Queen because of the Biafra War. Jimi Hendrix was playing concerts to raise money for the children in Biafra. He was raising money to feed people like me. I would have died if those flights hadn't come in. 3,170 flights in 3 years that came in with all the food we wanted because there was no way to feed Biafra. And of course, part of the war strategy was to starve and kill everybody. Akamibiam, he had all the awards from here. CBE, MBE, everything, right up to the knighthood. He returned all of that to the Queen because of the war. Well, Jonathan Aitken, everybody knows about. He was actually tried under the Official Secrets Act for revealing the truth about Biafra. And his defense was quite simple. His defense was it was in the interest of the state to tell the truth. And the case collapsed. Ban Rosen. So this is my background. Imagine what it would look like if the Soviet Union was not allowed to talk about the 20 million dead from the Second World War. Imagine if it would be like if they were not allowed to heal that rift. Imagine what it would look like if the Soviet Union had not built bridges with Germany and had Germans help them rebuild and pay reparation after the war. Imagine what it would be like if the UK and the Commonwealth can't talk about the Second World War or the First World War or all the wars that have been, or the current wars where people are dying. If there's no healing, then there can't be any moving forward. Nigerians are very, very bad at keeping records. Most people don't know when they are born, when they were born, and most people do not have records of when they actually died. But this slide is the most serious slide of my presentation. 700 people died at 4 p.m. on the 7th of October, 1967. We have all their names. 700 people, they died looking their killers in the eye. And they had thousands of witnesses, because what had happened was the Nigerian army said they were coming into Asaba, and Asaba prepared to welcome them. And the welcoming speech was written by Obueshi Michael, the welcoming speech was written by the father of the wife of the last Nigerian president, Babangida, Miriam, Obueshi Okowu. And he did not leave to actually deliver the speech. When they gathered with food and drinks for the Nigerian army, the men were pulled to one side, the women were pulled to one side, and the men and boys were shot in front of the women. So what I ask ourselves is, how can we try to forget and brush over things like that? In other countries, in Afghanistan last week, I heard that people were already digging up bones in Bamiyan trying to find out what happened to all the people killed by the Taliban. The ghost of Nigeria will not be laid to rest until truth is told about what happened in Nigeria. Yakubu Gowon, who was in charge during these atrocities, went back to Asaba, and I read what he said. He said, "In the spirit of Christian reconciliation, accept my apologies on behalf of the federal military government for the activities of soldiers in Asaba during the Nigerian Civil War. I am deeply sorry for what happened, especially to those who lost families, and I hope Asaba people will accept this apology, even if it is belated." Now, I have a lot of respect for a man like this, because he's coming to terms with what happened, but he can't apologize for the government because he's no longer in charge of the government. The Nigerian story must be told, and that's what I'm here to do today. I'm not here to tell the Biafran story. I'm here to tell the Nigerian story, because the Nigerian story cannot be told until all Nigerians feel comfortable under the Nigerian roof. I talked about civilians, but what about the military themselves? The soldiers have been as much victims of this violence as the civilians. Just look at the list on the wall. Most of these people are dead. Either they took part in killing other people, they organized coups, they were killed during the coups, or they were shot after the coups. That's the terrible history of Nigerian violence against ourselves. So what I say to people is the Civil War did not end in 1970. The Civil War is still going on in Nigeria, and we have to end it. So my demand today is, let us end the civil wars. Let's find the truth about what has happened in Nigeria. Why are there 6 million displaced people in Nigeria today? I heard somebody saying Abuja is building because Abuja has to accommodate all the refugees coming from all. Abuja can't accommodate all the refugees. So what I say is, after finding out the truth about what has happened, we have to ask for forgiveness. There has to be some true remorse. The people who were wronged have to be encouraged to find it in their hearts to forgive those who have wronged them. We have to find ways of building bridges. We have to find ways of rebuilding trust. Because only when we can look at the future, look to the future with trust and with confidence, that we can really, really have any chance of being able to build a proper country. This has brought me to the end of my talk and the ultimate question, which is, how many Nigerians will it take to change a light bulb? The problem is that there's no answer to this question today. Until there's trust, we'll have to set up a committee of three, an Igbo man, a Hausa man, and a Yoruba man. And then the German will say, you've left us out. And then we'll set up another committee of 6. And then when we do that, we'll find out the Igbo man is not there. And the problem is, nobody trusts anybody. That's why the latest committees are made up of 600, 500 people. But it's all futile. Once we build trust amongst ourselves, once we can tell ourselves the truth, once we can rebuild the confidence, and once we can recreate that legitimacy and end the civil wars and end the killings, then we can send any Nigerian to the room to change the light bulb. Thank you.